an affinity towards those children that need that extra help. So I give the board a A for that.
Okay, thank you. So Anna, thinking back now on the way the board handled the resignation of Colleen Wilcox, did the board handle it correctly, and should it have remained a personnel matter outside of the public's purview?
Well, I think we did. I think we did very well, and we came as a team, as one voice and unified voice. I would have to disagree with Carmen that it was personnel matter. I don't think the investigative report was personnel matter. Everything that we discussed that was personnel matter was kept in closed session. The report that I was talking about was investigation. That was done with public funding, and that belongs to the public. So I would have to disagree with my opponent on that. It just galvanized the board, and it brought the office stronger and together, and I think our president at the time handled it very well on a day-to-day basis, and our board members as a whole board was right behind his decisions, and I'm very proud of our board for having done that.
Okay, thank you.
The 4-year dropout rate of Hispanic children in Santa Clara County is 37%, which is higher than the state average. What should the county office of ed do about it? Mm-hmm. And what can the board do specifically to help bridge the achievement gap?
We have been talking about this issue already, and it's an alarming percentage to find out that our county result is lower than state average. And our county superintendent has been talking about it, and the board is keenly aware of this issue. And what we want to do is first address our own schools in alternative education, because majority population in our alternative education schools are Latinos. And we need to improve our schools before we can point to local school districts and say, look, something is wrong and you need to improve and get your act together. So we're looking in to improve what we're doing. And at the same time, what I would personally advocate is that in my data analysis, students' achievement is always correlated to parents' education level. And I think we need to educate our parents, let them know about our school system, what the testing is about, and I think there is room for county office and county board to provide that service so that it's not redundant on a local school district level, but we can work together as a county-wide effort to address this issue with that population.
Thank you. Carmen, the 4-year dropout rate of Latino students in Santa Clara County is 37%, which is higher than the state average. What do you think the County Office of Ed should do about it? And then what can the board do through its specific powers to bridge the achievement gap?
Well, first of all, I wouldn't just concentrate on alternative schools. As Anna has mentioned, I would like to take a proactive approach and start communicating with the high schools in the county, have a better communication, have a better relationship with the county and the school districts. Let's take a proactive approach. Let's have community meetings with teachers, staff, and try to brainstorm and find out what we can do. I propose having an educational summit with community leaders, and let's all put our heads together and work something out. We need to take a proactive approach because this is a crisis. I'd like to also mention that the high school dropout rate is really more than 37%. And the reason being is that when we send our kids, they're sent to the county because they have they violated the educational code. When they get to the county, they have to fulfill certain conditions. If they do not fulfill those conditions, then they can't come back to our district. Well, what's happening now is that these children that do not fulfill their contract or the conditions, we don't know what happens to them. We've asked the county, well, what happens to these kids? And they don't seem to know. If they do know, they don't tell us. I think they just disappear. And that's another problem. They don't keep track. They are counties are not required to keep track of these students that are in alternative schools if they drop out. So really, 37% is really higher. And what I'd like to do is have better communications, taking a proactive approach, meeting with the local high schools before they get into alternative schools.
Thank you.
So, actually let's continue on alternative schools, because the county office was at one point the principal provider of alternative schools and community day schools. And then and about 8 years ago, it got out of the business. Now there's talk that that the county should again be back in the business of offering more community day schools and alternative schools. Carmen, you've just expressed the point of view that you feel that that's only one approach, and perhaps the county shouldn't be doing that. Clarify, if you will, what should the county's role be with regard to alternative schools?
Well, from my understanding, the county does provide alternative schools. So for you to say that they don't, I'm not clear on what you're asking.
It was the principal provider, and then school districts began to provide more alternative schools, and then there's some discussion as to whether or not the county should be more proactive in establishing more alternative schools and community day schools.
Well, I think that we should work more with the high school to prevent students from going into alternative schools. And that goes back to taking a proactive approach. Let's make sure that, how can the county help this local school districts so that way the children will not have to go to alternative schools. And if you had mentioned, should the school districts provide alternative schools? Yes, I think we should. We should keep the kids in our district and probably get help from the county. As a matter of fact, Milpitas Unified School District, we do have a community day school. And it saves the district money, because as you know, we have to pay the county for every child that we send out of the district to alternative schools. So I would rather have school districts provide an alternative school in their district. This way we have a better hold, and we can keep track of what happens to these children instead of getting lost in the cracks.
So Anna, if you could talk a little bit about the role of the county office in providing alternative schools, community day schools. Is this a priority of yours? Should the county office be doing more than it has in the last 5-6 years?
Yes, it is my priority. As I mentioned, I have been a formal alternative education student when I was in high school. I was on principal's honor roll. I was college bound, and my parents struggled with drug issues, and my brother and I became homeless. So I had to go find a job and enrolled myself in continuation school. So having had that background myself, alternative education has always been my priority. And as John mentioned, starting about, I want to say 9 years ago, and 8 years straight, we had some budget shortfall issues, significant issues, starting from Governor Gray Davis era, and we had to annually dip into our own reserves to fund alternative education, and I think that's what you're mentioning, and that we had to cut back, and we had to turn to school districts to fund more since we didn't have any money. And that's when we started shifting classrooms and who's going to assign where, and whether local school district is going to provide it or county is going to provide it. And my opinion is that wherever it is provided, if it serves the student, I think I'm all for it. What I've realized in the 8 years being on the County Board of Education is that it's not just our job on the county board or local school district job. I know it sounds cliche, but it takes a village, and I think that's why we partner with United Way. We have always been in dialogue with Board of Supervisors, and I think we have to also involve local municipal elected officials, mayors and council members, to address this issue. It's not just from 8 to 3, it's an all-around issue, and where